Welcome to Almost Functional Gaming. We aim to help all followers of Russ and the Allfather to improve on the tabletop. List building, tournament recaps, unit reviews, weekly council of the Fang, and other tips to help us all go from almost functional to fully functional. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out our merch store and Almost Functional score tracker on Amazon.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional 40K. Here again with Aiden, and this week we're also joined by Ed.
What is up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much, Ed. We're happy to have you.
Yeah,
I heard you guys did just hit a tournament this weekend. I don't know what tournament it was.
This is some little local thing. No, but Ed and I actually both took Wolves to Nova.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, me and Aiden have been talking. I've been following you guys. I'm a Richmond native from around here, and about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, me and Aiden have been talking, and I saw his list, and I've been playing guard a lot recently and more team tournaments, and I want to run something Space Marine wise, and decided to go on Wolves. So I hopped on the bandwagon with the new book coming out.
Nice. So what was it about Wolves over other Marines that made you go that way?
So I'm I'll tell you, I'm a Dark Angels player, and I like the Terminators. Used to run 10 mans. The big thing for me, the Wolfen and the Thunderwolf Cav drove me to what I wanted to play. The Thunderwolf Cav being T6. The big key there is their 4 wounds, and their T6, they have 4 Vindwall. So, I started out as 3 mans. I know Aiden had been running lists with 3x3, and I started increasing them to 6, and basically they were doing a little bit of damage. They're only strength 5, which is kind of a downside to them, but their survivability made them very key for me.
Yep. So you're running. Well, actually, we can pull your list up if you guys want. Let's just go ahead and look at this. All right, so you running Gladius, as was I. You got Logan, so only one character.
Yeah, so this is kind of where it came into play. So for Nova and a lot of the games that I typically play, I'll look at layouts and kind of what everything's going and doing. We talked about Wolfen, and the reason I went with just Logan, I'd started out in Iron Storm, and I was playing Iron Priest, and we went to Tech Priest or Tech Marines. And what I found is I tried just to cut all the fat. And by fat, I mean I only wanted to play specific units to do specific roles. And it came down to Logan was, you have to have a character, and you can have no better than Logan.
Yep.
We looked at Wolf Priest to be nearby Wolfen to kind of give them their extra OC. I looked at Ragnar. My problem with Ragnar right now and head takers are they're a missile, right? So they come in, they kill something, and then they die. Typically, that's their role. Usually they're in an impulsor vehicle. You pull them up, the impulsor stays behind. Either it dies or they die, and then they get out and they die, or they kill something, and typically they die right after. So I was looking for that more survivability. So you'll see with my list with Logan, he's paired with 5 Terminators. Again, T5 on these guys, 2 up, 4 up invol. So the survivability of my list is what really drew me to it. And we can kind of go through my list real quick. So it's Logan and 5 Terminators.
Yeah.
I had, Intercessor Squad, bread and butter Space Marines to hold the home objective. So my Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack, they moved 12. Their key role was to hold my expansion objective until either Logan got there with the 5-man or a 6-man Thunderwolf Cav.
Right.
Then I had 2 Repulsor Executioners, 2 Vindicators, and then I had 2x6 Thunderwolf Cav and a 3x Thunderwolf Cav. So the 3-man, what I did with it is basically whenever I looked at our layouts, and what's key with this army specifically is deployment. So there's only one search and destroy mission that kind of we played to. I know there was two, but there was only one that really gave me trouble, and that was I think it was round two, but it wasn't too bad because the Thunderwolf Cav and then your four tanks take up a lot of footprint. So you have to put this out in a specific area. But the Thunderwolf Cav, the three man, and I'll tell you, every time it happened just like this. My three man Thunderwolf Cav go to the middle, turn one. They're either there for area denial or to establish locus, or I put them out there with the intent of them dying to somebody shooting. And then my assault intercessors go to the left or the right, to my expansion. They hold that down until my six Thunderwolf Cavs can get there or Logan. So my three man goes to the middle. My Wolfen stage in the right behind them, and they're going to the middle to fight over the middle or to the left, depending on how the layout is. And that three man Thunderwolf cast sets up shooting lanes for my two repulsor executioners and my Vindicator. And what I liked about them is being T6 and four wounds and a 4-up invul, is you have to commit something serious to actually kill them, or they're just going to live on that point and score me primary. So you have to go and kill them. So that was kind of the key thing with them as well.
All right. And then that's very and the Terminators with the -1 to wound are just they're one of my favorite things in the book.
Right. We've talked about it a couple of times. I want to run RJack and 10. If I just see that as being another hammer unit. But I don't have space for it right now. That's kind of the big key is if you want it to cut, and it's going to sound blasphemy, if you want to cut the two rep X's and run something like that and go a little bit more melee heavy, I can see doing that. But for this tournament, I took the shooting. I went into this tournament thinking Death Guard, Imperial Knights, and Eldar were going to be the three that I thought were going to be the most prevalent. Um, and unfortunately, I think I faced two Imperial Knights players. And that was it.
Wow. I mean, but you did get the best wolves at Nova, which is quite an accomplishment. So congratulations on that. Something for you was working in this list.
Yeah, because you were what, 7-2, Ed?
Yep. So I'll go over my record. I went 2-1. Day one, I ended up losing to Eric Hoger, good battle brother of mine. We won ATC last year, so shout out to him playing Emperor's Children. Played it great. Came very close game. Came down to bottom of 5. He won 70-80, or 80-70, excuse me. And then my loss was to actually win the bracket for the bracket number 2. I lost in the last round against Jeff Klockner.
Wow.
Jeff's been on Sisters forever.
Yeah.
I love Jeff. Great player. I talked to him a little bit. I was his 4th Space Wolves player that he defeated.
Yeah, I played him first round in the pod.
Yep. So I losing to people that I play with and know, I'll take that all day.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jeff said he seems to think his sisters have a good matchup into wolves.
They do. I think that it's geared towards more Marines. It just happens to be that their, strength 10 helps. Mm-hmm. So yes, he does have a good matchup into most Marine builds.
Yeah. And I would say that worked out with what half his wins were into 4 of his 8 wins were into wolves.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, yep. I also went 4-1 going into pods, and then that was pretty much where all my good stuff ended. I lost to Jeff, then I lost to Eldari, and then I lost to Necrons by 1 point when he scored 9 challenger points.
Yeah, so I will tell you just kind of how I played my list. I try to limit my opponent's scoring. So you'll look at my games. My first game was against T-Suns, and it was 99-60. T-Suns, I just trapped them in and killed everything pretty quick. What I try and do is not intentionally, but selectively score low turns 1 and 2 to limit challenger points. So my average was either, I think, 5 or 6 of my opponents got 9 challenger points against me.
Yeah.
So you're going to see I had low scoring games. I tried to play a little bit more passive with this list because I'm still learning it. So I had a lot of 70-point games. I also played against a lot of great players too. So there wasn't like you could just go and run somebody over. These were, I think, decent quality players.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Especially once we got into the pods. So you're in the 4-in-1 pod. Like
yep,
nobody's a seal up there.
that's right.
Yeah, because like all my one loss was 59-53. I was just tanking his primary all game, and then Jeff only scored 80 on me, and then my other loss was 60 some. Only let him score in like the 60s. Like the Wolves are really good at that. I find tanking people's primary.
Right. And that's kind of what I did with them. It wasn't, it was jail style,
Yeah,
but it was more of a focus on slowing down your primary and, me scoring 10 to 15 sometimes and you scoring 0 to 5 or
yeah,
0 to 4. On linchpin, I was holding, some of my opponents to 3 points while I was
yeah,
getting 8 to 12. And that just sealed the game right there.
yeah. That's what happened in my Eldar game. I held him to 3 points every turn up until turn 5. He got bottom of turn and was able to spike there. He scored. Yeah, I was up 28 points and he scored 29 points on the bottom of 5.
Oh, man. Yeah, that it's tough. I went first, I think 6 times.
Yep.
Um, I actually lost going second twice, which is kind of surprising because the list likes going second.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't too bad. I was highly impressed with the Thunderwolf Cav.
Yep.
Their footprint is large, but I still was able to do what I wanted to with them, which I liked.
Did you ever take advantage of Logan's turn 1 reserves with anything?
So I only did it on game 2, or it was either game 2 or game 4. I played Imperial Knights. I came down turn 1, and that's when I went second. And basically, they overcommitted to one side, so they put like 3 knights on one side. So I just was like, all right, I'm going to put Logan in the middle, and had Logan set in the middle, and he held primary for that for turn 2 because he was just there, which
Mm-hmm.
worked out perfectly for me.
Yeah, I found I did it almost every game, but I was running the big 10-man, so I found they were a great option for that because in most games people leave their expansion where I can drop over behind some terrain, and now I got a 10-man squad over there just threaten their expansion right from the get-go.
That's right. Yeah, and something that I'm trying to work on now is I typically, whatever expansion or objective I went after, I tried to keep Logan within 6 inches of the Wolfen, and
Yeah.
that really messed with my opponent's primary. So the Wolfen would go in and beat something up, and then I'd make sure I'd have Logan within 6 to kind of make sure they'd stop their primary scoring too. So not only would I, kill probably a vehicle, a knight, or something like that, they'd be out in the middle, and I'd still be able to score primary because 3 or 4 of them would live, and I'd pass my leadership, and they're close enough to Logan to give me primary. So that was one of the key plays, was trying to keep them paired together, and it's a force to be reckoned with, if you will, with those two staying together like that.
And
Wow.
I got a question for you. Running no infiltrators, running intercessors instead. Do you ever have any problem with people trying to drop on you, or you just find the 9 inches good enough?
No, so with the footprint of the Thunderwolf Cav, and again, I played pretty passively.
Yeah.
Turn 1, I sent out JPI and the 3-man, and then I would move my Wolfen into the middle, and then I would stage my Thunderwolf Cav to go to their expansion, and then to stay in the middle. And my vehicle stayed back, so I never had an issue with the 6 inch coming in or 9 inch either.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Death Guard. I've been running infiltrators just because Death Guard was so prevalent with their 6 inch, but I only had one. Only my game against Subterranean this weekend did it really feel like I needed it. So that may
Right.
be a change I make. Just go back to intercessors and than just have, because I've been running a squad of Fenrisians, so then the intercessors can just leave and just leave the Fenrisians back there if they don't have any kind of indirect.
Yeah, it seems like
Yep.
if you're diligent about screening enough, you can
Yeah.
get away with not running them. But Ed, I'm curious. You were talking about Wolfen. Matt and I have been playing a lot of Wolfen, and we're kind of, at least, we're kind of leaning away from them recently. It seems like they did pretty well in your games as a midfield bully, especially paired with Logan.
Yeah, so the Wolfen, and I'll be honest with you, I started with 2 5-mans and found that a 5-man isn't enough
Mm-hmm.
to kill something, and it also isn't enough to survive, a real
Right.
shooting, because they'll overcommit. 10-mans will pick up a lot more than you expect. I'd plink off 4 to 5 damage on a big knight, an Imperial Knight, and then the 5-man or the 10-man Wolfen would come in without oath and just pick it up.
Really?
Um,
Huh.
that's kind of what was happening in my games. I used them with Logan to kind of bully a side while the Thunderwolves Cav hung out and kind of played the primary game.
Mm-hmm.
What I found is everybody's strength 5, which is kind of a problem, right?
Yes.
So
Right.
like the Wolfing being strength 5, the Thunderwolf Cav, Logan, while he's not, the Terminators are.
Yep.
So you need that strength 6 push. So the rep X's kind of help out with that. I had thought about running a Van Vet squad over the Wolfen. They're 190 points, I believe. But the Wolfing being 3 damage was key there, I think.
Yes.
Um, and that's kind of what has drawn me to them so much is I even used the extra AP on them a couple of times,
Right.
just to get the extra AP into a vehicle to make it, AP3 into a knight. You know, while it's not the best use of that, you don't need Lance. It's still that extra AP making them have a 6-up save instead of a 5-up is a game changer in melee.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But
Because
that's go ahead.
no, it's like that's the one problem Wolves have is strength 5, but we do spam damage 3, like nothing else that I know of.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I kind of had issues with was T6. So there's quite a few things out there that's starting to become T6. Which hey, in the mirror match you're T6, right? So 5s aren't great.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something I'm going to be looking into possibly changing in the future. I actually like the Wolfen a lot. I am considering, and I'll be honest with you later on, is maybe running 2 10-mans.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
And, kind of what I've found is the repulsors are great, but, you can cut 2 repulsor executioners and go to 2 lancers. And that's something I'm considering. You can run ATVs or you can cut a repulsor and run 3 vindicators. I know Brian was the other Space Wolves player. He was only running 2 vindicators.
Yeah.
You could go down to 2 vindicators and run more Wolfen or head takers with an impulsor and get Ragnar with them. I will say Ragnar with 6 head takers is nothing to sneeze at. That guy can pick up something
Yeah.
like there's nobody's business.
Oh yeah. When
So
they get in and they hit like a truck, they just don't stick around like the TCAV and the Termies do.
yep.
But yeah, Ragnar's been my favorite character since 2nd edition. So anytime I can find a way to squeeze him in, I do. But right now I'm
Yeah.
running Canis, so that limits me a little bit.
Which is another wolf,
He's got a wolf on his shield, right? He
Yeah,
counts.
exactly. Ed, you mentioned the shooting. I was curious about the shooting package. In Ironstorm, the repulsor executioners go crazy. They love the reroll on them. But I was curious about the 2 repulsors and the 2 vindicators in Gladius, and other shooting detachments.
Right. So for this tournament, again, the thought was Knights and Death Guard. Believe it or not, the repulsors, I will say, they performed okay. I think they were more of a man, that thing has a ton of shots. I don't want to get anywhere near it, and kind of scared the opponent away from getting in line of sight of them. Like
Mhm.
everybody respected the Vindicators, but everybody feared the Repulsors. There's a couple of games that popped off, against T-Suns. I took out a beast in one turn of shooting. He failed a couple of saves, and I did 8 damage and 6 damage. So it took it out, which is what it's there to do.
Mhm.
But to put that respectability into them is key. If you don't respect them, they could just pop off and kill you. And there's some games where, hey, I shot 4 or 5 times with the big guns on both of them and they did nothing. But it's the sprinkling of the little damage that helps out too.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of why I like the Executioner over the Lancers right now, is the extra shooting and the OC5 and the T12. So if you look at the list, everything's high, either high durability or high toughness, and it's hard to deal with. So and they kind of helped me out too on that list, perspective wise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was running the Lancer with the Priest. Like I just like the thought of the 3-shot gun, but I had 2 games where he just completely whiffed on me.
Right.
Against Jeff, like we were playing. I played Jeff on supply drop, and he got bottom of turn. So all right, so mid game, I was like, all right, I got to make a push, or he's just gonna get this 15 and auto win. And when I pushed out, I went to pick up one of his castigators. The Repex and Canis both, or not the Lancer and Canis both shot at it, and I only did like 7 wounds to it because Canis
Oh,
completely whiffed, and the Lancer rolled 2 1s with Oath. I rolled them back into 1s and only hit once. And I was just like, well, that's not supposed to happen.
brutal.
Yep. Yeah, I'll give you a snippet. I made a mistake in the game with Jeff, but his dice were super hot and we kind of laughed about it.
Yeah.
An emulator and the castigator just shot their hunter killers at a vindicator and killed it in cover with AOC. He rolled I failed. He hit twice, wounded twice. Natty rolled a 6s on his 2 wound after I failed my 3-up saves
Wow.
Yeah.
on both of them. So we kind of just left. I was like, "Yep, this game's kind of over." So that turn he came in. Vol did Vol things. She killed an executioner by herself. The 200 killers killed the a vindicator, and then a castigator picked up a whole Thunderwolf Calf squad. It did it killed 4.5. So I had a wolf and a wound left on 1, and then the castigator or the girls got out of the emulator and picked those 2 up. So
Wow.
that all happened to top of 2. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. Against me,
Brutal.
his damage was average, but I could not kill those little girls with the 4 pinballs. So he would not fail those. And then I charged Arjack and the Terminators into Vol, and he wouldn't fail a save there either. The whole squad took 1 girl down to 1 wound. I didn't hurt the other 2 or Vol. And I was like, that's game over.
Oh, brutal.
Because I thought Arjack with the anti-vehicle, and they're technically little vehicles, I thought I'd be able to kill most of the squad and maybe leave Vol by herself, but I didn't even pick up a single girl.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what
then the
about your
Terminators
other?
melted.
What about your other loss to Emperor's Children? I wouldn't. I actually have not played a lot of Emperor's Children with Space Wolves. I know Space Wolves can struggle with really high quantity of fast melee. So maybe Emperor's Children falls into that category where they're just chewing through your 4-pin vulns too fast. I'm curious about that game.
Yeah, so played Eric Hoger. He wasn't playing the normal variant of Emperor's Children. I can't remember what it's called, to be honest with you. But he had the normal stuff, if you will. He had 2 Mauler Fiends. He had 2 Demon Princes. He had 3x6. Oh man, who are the shooty guys? I can't think of them right now.
Noise Marines.
Noise Marines, and then he
Mhm.
had the characters that just picked up. I don't know if they're tormentors or what they're actually called. But basically, we were doing the math, and I didn't realize it. The character led and the 5-man pick up 5 Thunderwolf Cav
Are you kidding?
on
That little
average,
five
because
man with a character.
yeah, they're sustained and lethal, and they're like 2 damage. And we were trying to sit there and do math and just Yeah. So that 1 5-man picks up Thunderwolf Cab pretty easily.
Wow.
So I didn't realize they were that good. We talked about it afterwards. He was like, "So let's run the numbers to see if this was real," because he did have a character pop off in one of them. So a character killed 3 Thunderwolf Cab by himself with like 4 attacks. He sustained 4 times and just went off. But I was like, all right, so what if you just do average numbers, and the average numbers say that they kill 5 Thunderwolf Cav, that little 5-man.
That's wild. You haven't
Yep.
got any reps into Emperor's Children yet.
So I don't think it's that bad of a matchup.
Yeah.
I did make a mistake, and I call it a mistake. I let him have it. He reserved came in with a Mauler Fiend. He moved and advanced 15, and he made a 10-inch charge on a Rep X and got to the Rep X. He was like, "You really shouldn't let me do that." And I'm like, that's hard to play around.
Yeah, 10-inch
Yeah.
charge, yeah.
After getting a 15 on movement or whatever it was, so he basically had I think they moved 10, and he rolled a 5, and then he made a 10-inch charge. So it's like I popped out to kill a demon prince with the Rep X. I ended up putting him to 2 wounds, and the demon prince just wasn't part of the game. So it was a good play to pop out and try and kill him. He was also doing sabotage. So I was like, all right, if I get lucky and just do enough wounds and kill it, sure, I'll try it. Because I also had a Vindicator shoot at it, and he blinked 4-ups, which I figured he would, but I was hoping I could finish it off. But I wasn't expecting a Mauler Fiend to come in and make the best he could have done. I could have backed up maybe an inch, but him making a 5 on advance and then making a 10-inch charge, it
Oh,
is what it
brutal.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on the guys killing the Thunderwolves, if you'd have known how good they were into, do you think you could have popped like the fight on death and maybe taken them with you or something? Maybe.
So on one unit, because he charged 2 at the same
Ah.
time. So the one unit did fight on death. I killed all but a character in one
Hmm.
with the Thunderwolf calf. So yes, maybe, but
Yeah.
it's still tough.
Oh, absolutely.
I got
But
5. I only had 5 fight. He had shot 1 and killed 1 in combat.
gotcha.
So
But obviously, knowing what they do now, you play that differently. You don't give them the opportunity to charge both like that.
right, and it was the 4 objectives in the no, there's 3 objectives in the middle, and he did something different. He just pushed all his noise marines, so I was able to shoot them with 2 vindicators and a Rep X, and he put 2 out of the 3 squads in play. I killed 3 in one unit, and I killed 4, either 5 in the other.
Hmm.
So it was risky, but taking away shooting was big.
Right. One thing I'm curious about, you have the 6 cavalry Logan squad, Rep X, Vindicator, Vindicator. It seems like all of these units want Oath, but you only have one. How did you manage that?
So it played into the KG part of it. I actually focused Oath on the melee more, and so part of it, if I was shooting something big, then I would target something big. But I would like plink damage with the Vindicator or the Rep X with Oath, but the real melee, either the Thunderwolf Cav or the Wolfen mattered more to me. Um, and that's kind of what I focused on, and there were a lot of games where Wolfen just went and did Wolfen things. I didn't even use them for the Oath target. I had them all with Death Totems, so they hit on 3s, reroll 1s, and let 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 the All Father do what he does. They
Yeah.
did well or they don't do well, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what I focused on. Is I hid and played a little bit more KG and tried to look at my angles. So Oath wasn't that big of a deal to me. Like I said, focusing on whatever the Thunderwolf Cav were going to charge that turn. That's what I used as my Oath targets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The another thing I noticed about this list, you have 15 Thunder Cav. Would you consider this in Stormlance?
Probably. So for me, I'm coming back to Space Marines because I had been playing guard. If you go and look at my tournaments, I played Death Guard for ATC this year, but I've probably got 100-ish, 120 games with guard this year. So I wanted to play something easy, and I liked Fight on Death. I think Gladius is the best attachment in the game. Fighting on Death makes it easy. Lance and extra AP makes it easy. The advance and charge. I don't think it's needed, but it could be. Stormlance may be better. If I went the Stormlance route, I'd probably go to like 2 Vindicators, 18 Thunderwolf Cav, and probably 30 Wolfen, to be honest with you. So I'm always advancing and charging.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Wolf jail.
And actual true wolf jail, because I don't know what too many people, the Wolfen that I lose for shooting to pick up the Wolfen for advancing and charging wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
But
because the as much shooting as you have, Gladius is better. But yeah, if you went to Stormlance, you'd go less because the fallback and shoot, the advance and shoot can come in really nice sometimes with that much firepower.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
Yeah, and putting a Rep-X in Dev and ignoring cover and -1 on all your 0
Oh yeah,
AP guns is massive. So I did that quite a few times of just punching through on something because I was AP1 ignoring cover,
Yeah.
just
Oof.
throwing a bucket of shots at something.
Yeah.
very
That's
nice.
pretty amazing.
Right,
Wow.
So what would you say was your best unit over the weekend?
So best unit for me and the way that I played them was the 10-man Wolfen.
Yep.
So
Well,
it was a setup. So every time I put them right in the middle, I put the 3-man in the middle to be charged or be shot. They came out and the Wolfen could touch them. So I tried to play the angles game with that 3-man to set up the Wolfen for a charge. And so it's 10-man Wolfen followed up by Logan. So Logan was right there. The Vector was key. But
Yes.
again, I set it up so, he could help out with the Wolfen and bully whatever the Wolfen didn't finish. Logan came in and picked it up. So
wow.
the way a lot of my games worked out, I would have the Thunderwolf Cav and the Wolfen would be gone and the JPIs, and I'm left with my 4 tanks and Logan, and they're left with whatever, you know.
Mhm.
I'm usually up 1,000, 1,200, 1,100 points, and they've got 500-600 points left to kill 4 tanks and Logan running around.
That's really nice.
Oof. Wow. Starting to make me consider Gladius, man. I've been trying to avoid it, but it seems like it is the best attachment for us wolves, and just
What's
in general.
any type of Marines because you have every tool for every matchup. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's not much you don't have.
Yeah.
Other
Well,
than like a sustained lethal strat, like pretty much everything else you have.
yeah, totally. Do we want to switch over, take a look at what you ran, Matt? Speaking of Gladius.
Sure. We can look at my list. Let's see. All right, let's bring this up. All right, so I also went Gladius. We got Arjak, we got Bjorn for the CP, we got the Iron Priest to run with a Lancer, Combi Lieutenant Logan, one little Fenrisian squad, the Lancer, Infiltrators, Scouts, 2 3-man Thunderwolves, a 10-man Terminator, a 5-man Terminator, and Canis Rex. And the Terminator squads, I alternated Arjak or Logan, who was running with what, depending on what the matchup was.
Wow. A lot of beef, too. How did you end up?
I went 4-1 before the pods, and then I went 0-3 in the pods, and then my round 8 game it was the first opponent I had where just wasn't a very enjoyable person to play,
Oh,
so I
dang.
ended up just dropping and not playing round 9.
Yeah, but still 4-1 is quite solid. It seems like in the early rounds this worked for you.
Yeah, I started and even in the pod, like my first game was into Jeff, who was 4-0 into Wolves, and he got bottom turn on supply drop. So that's just he's decent into Wolves to start with, and then that's just probably the worst mission to go first on.
Yeah, that's brutal. That is
Yep.
brutal. So
Then
what did well for you over the weekend and what didn't?
I can't say anything didn't do well. Like the Infiltrators don't do much. They just hold the back a lot of the times. But with the lack of Death Guard and stuff, they can become intercessors, and then I can push them up to join the game now that it's sticky, because I can leave the little squad back there and not have to like babysit them with something. Although in a couple matchups I did that, I just kept them strung out to the Iron Priest, and they would send the infiltrators out, but
Right.
they don't have as many shots and they're only AP 0 as the intercessors, so switching them for intercessors would be good. But the Terminators were amazing in every game. Like, everybody just complains the whole game about how hard they are to kill. And then in my melee matchups, like against the Blood Angels, I got Logan. And anytime I run a melee matchup, I put Logan with the 10-man and Arjak with the 5, just so I can have fight on death on the big unit automatically from Logan, or not. I mean, with Logan when I spend the CP, and then Arjak can give it to little one. But against the Blood Angels, I had the one Terminator squad in the middle. They got double charged by 2 Blade Guard squads, one with a Judicar, with a Chaplain, and then Sanguinary Guard charged into the other one. So I started with the Sang Guard, so I fought on death there for 2 CP, and then I spent another 2 CP to interrupt on the other side. So I killed pretty much the whole Sang Guard for what they took of the Terminators. They went into the 10-man. He killed like 4 of them, but then I took pretty much the whole Sang Guard. And then Arjak with the 5-man interrupted, and they killed half of both Blade Guard squad before they even swung.
Wow.
So yeah, anytime in the melee matchup I do it like that, and I slow roll my CP to make sure I have 4 CP on the turn they want to come in.
Oh man, I just am starting to realize how big Fight on Death is.
Oh yeah,
For
if that's in those melee matchups, I can send both units out knowing they're both going to get charged, and both of them are going to get all their attacks, because one's going to fight on death and one's going to interrupt.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I like Blood Angels right now, like a Liberator, just those 6-man Blade Guards with either the Chaplain or the Judicar.
Mm-hmm.
That is a tough matchup. That was my closest game. I think I won 74-72.
Yeah.
Because I played, he had no tanks. He was literally all Space Marine bodies, and it was a close game. But if I didn't have Fight on Death, because I fought on death twice in that game, and it did so much work for me.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely. That's why I like Arjak. He's got that built-in 4-up one, so even if you don't have the CP or stuff's going weird, you could get just lucky and still hit with most of your squad. And then Arjak having built-in precision, fighting on death or interrupting with him, a lot of times you can snipe out that character, and then the squad that's coming back really doesn't hit that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on those Sang Guards, you take out that character early, and then the rest of the game you don't have to worry about the -1 to wound on them.
Yeah.
But and then my easiest game, honestly, was in the Knights. I rolled the Knight game I played, but yeah, my only major loss, my losses were 2 Eldari. One, my secondaries were crap. I only got 17, and I was still in a position where if I make like I think it was 9 or 10 inch charge on turn 5, I win that one.
Wow.
And then the other Eldari game we were playing, I think it was Hidden Supplies or Taking Old. It was one of the ones where you get points for scoring and objectives in the middle, but Logan and his squad failed their leadership. So I was in combat with Jane Czar's unit. I was going to put them in tactical and fall back, shoot her squad down, and then I would have, well, one, I had more OC on the point. So if I'd have passed that, I would have scored an extra 5 there. But I didn't, so he was able to finish off Logan's squad with Jane Czar's squad. And so then he held that objective on his turn.
Yeah.
But if I pass that and I fall back with tactical, I pick her squad up. So not only did I score the 5, he doesn't score the 5, and I only lost by like 6. So that flips 10 points right there at the end of the game.
That's tough. That's really tough.
Well, the Wolves, like, none of my losses were like I got blasted. They were all super tight, other than the game into Jeff on supply drop, where I knew I had to try to do a Hail Mary in the middle of the game, and just my push bounced, and then he got the 8s and the 15s just because I wasn't there, and so that skewed a little bit. But every other game, the Wolves were there. A couple things here or there. Like, I never felt like I didn't have the tools to win the game.
Wow. Well, one thing you mentioned was CP, and I noticed you have Bjorn in your list, and Ed, you don't. I'm really thinking you need a lot of CP for Gladius. Like, Ed, how did you manage not, you got to spend for tactical doctrine if you want to advance one unit and charge one unit, you got to spend. If you want to spend the lance, Fight on Death is 2 CP. How did you manage going with no CP battery?
So I think this is where my game plan came into play. So turn one, I don't use it for any rerolls. I very rarely use it for defense, for AOC. So my go turns always have 4 CP. So it's 2 for Fight on Death, 1 for Lance, and 1 for AOC to kind of just push them apart. So typically for me, I'm usually pitching either or not doing anything turn one. Turn two, either I'm going or I'll wait to turn three. So, it's a little bit harder without Bjorn. I can see him adding him to the list, but I don't know if it's the right call. But I wouldn't go unless I have 4 CP.
Yeah.
Right.
I will wait until I have it.
Yeah. That's the one thing I did like about having him is I know that at the top on turn 2, I have 4 CP no matter what, as long as I don't spend any turn 1, whether I go first or second. So if I'm in those melee matchups and they want to come hard turn 2, I have the interrupt Fight on Death. It's like the main thing for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, but he has 170 points, and he normally doesn't really get in the game till around turn 3. I use him to kind of come clean up the middle or my expansion, depending on how the matchup's going. So you do have 170 points just kind of standing around for a couple turns, but
Yeah, I think Ed, I'm noticing with your list, it's like you have this wall of beef that also is pretty good skirmishers, but then it's just all the rest is damage. It's just as much damage as you can fit in the list.
Yep, and that's what I talked about, trimming the fat. I
Mhm.
didn't try and put anything extra in there. It's, I don't know if you guys know who Gator is, but Mark Hurdle,
Yeah.
I'll tend to follow his philosophy. Only play, they can't win if they're dead, right? They can't score points if they're all dead. So that's
Yes.
kind of my philosophy in this list too. Is I'll gum you up a little bit, but I'm either going to kill you, or if I don't get you this turn, it's going to be the next turn, and I'm just going to beat you that away.
Yeah, I may start skewing that because I'm running the combi, the intercessors, the Fenrigians, the scouts, and other than my one game where I just drew horrible cards, my secondary game is really good. But maybe that's the way to go because I do tank people's primary more often. Just if they're dead, they can't score secondary either. So maybe I cut some of that fat and add some stuff in there.
Well, speaking of our youth, we'll do it first and then second. Matt, are you thinking of change? What are you thinking of changing in this list?
Well, I'm thinking some other stuff now after listening to Ed, but maybe I'm going to cut some of that stuff I was just talking about, which has been kind of some staples in my list, just those scouts scoring more early points and stuff. But I was debating dropping the Lancer and Iron Priest and taking, because that's 220 points exactly, and taking a 6-man to go with my 2 3-mans of Thunderwolves. And so giving up that one shooting brick, which kind of is hit or miss, and then just having that extra big Thunderwolf just to bully the middle.
Okay.
And
All
then,
right.
and then depending on what we do or don't get with the night drop and all that, Canis may or may not stick around.
That makes sense. Yeah. What about you, Ed? We talked about some changes you might make. You go to more Wolfen. What are you thinking?
Yeah, again, philosophy is if you want to kill more, how do you kill more? So we talked to Gator, so some of the things that he likes, he's not as big into the Rep X's or the Vindicators. He's a Death Watch guy and Redeemer person. And something that I thought that we could add that made sense was a drop pod with 10 Stern Guard and a Librarian.
Oh.
So that package is 55, 70, and 190, right? So that's basically 2 Rep X's, and then I could drop the 2 Rep X's and get like some ATVs if I wanted mission play, a little bit more, and maybe get rid of something, or go to a third 6-man Thunderwolf Calf. I haven't really messed around with that yet. I see the thought process there. We also looked at like a Thunderstrike to kind of help out with the +1 to wound.
Yeah. That's honestly one thing that I'm thinking about in any list is a Thunderstrike because it gets so much reliability to your shooting, which is hard to come by. And you need good shooting. I mean, unless you're an incredible melee player. But in Gladius, it'd be great. In almost any list, it just adds that extra reliability to the Vindicator, the rep X's.
Yeah, and the thought there is so you get your executioners become lancers. That's 120 points. You drop the assault intercessors jump packs. It becomes an ATV for 60, so that gives you 150. So you're losing 2 rep X's, gaining 2 lancers, and you're losing a JPI squad for a thunderstrike. And you get an ATV. So really, you're getting a 12-inch move ATV for 5 assault intercessors. You know, you're giving up a rep X, 2 rep X's for 2 lancers and a uh, thunderstrike. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. While I love the rep X's, T12, 16 wounds, you know, that's more damage output. So if you think about it, you get more big shots out of the thunderstrike. And with the limited shooting anyway, the +1 to wound from a thunderstrike or just on a vindicator it is worth it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, vindicators winning on 2 is massive.
Yeah,
That's
it
why
is.
ultramarines are so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I need to pick up some of those new land speeder things, storm speeders. I don't have any. I keep wanting to put one on the list. I was like, I just can't pull the trigger on buying one. I keep trying to win a little tournament around here and use some store credit, but
Yeah, I like the thunderstrike, and then the one was it the hammer strike that strips cover too. That one's just as brutal sometimes.
It
You know,
is.
still has a ton of shots and still does work. So if you can't fit the thunderstrike, that may be one you want to look at. But that's going to be my changes, Aiden. You know, if I can play in this RTT this weekend, that's probably what I'm gonna look at. My next big tournament is the Team Battle Brothers in October,
Yeah.
and it'll probably be 2 lancers. Drop the 2 or add the 2 lancers and the thunderstrike, and drop the 2 rep X's and the JPI for that one little ATV, 2 lancers and that thunderstrike for sure.
That makes sense. Yeah, and Thunderbolt Strike's just been in the back of my mind for a lot of my lists because it just can add that much oomph to our shooting. Which you're right, Ed. One thing you pointed out and one we've been learning is that our durability is great, movement's great. Our melee is good, but it's not great. You know, like a lot of strength 5, even though we have anti-monster vehicle, sometimes your melee just falls flat a little bit into really tough targets. So just having like some serious shooting is always, I don't know, I just really like that idea.
Yep.
Direwolf's asking us, what about a Land Raider?
So for me, you know, you got 3 variants, right? You got the Crusader, the Redeemer, and just the normal Land Raider. Points come into play, but with my package, the space is an issue. So even deploying with all those Thunderwolf calves, a Land Raider versus a Lancer, spacing wise, it takes up too much space.
Yep.
So you know that would be a no for me.
Yep.
With trying to run all this.
Yeah, I like the thought of the Redeemer, but every time I try to run a Land Raider, I go to a tournament and they're doing layout 1 with search and destroy, and spends 3 turns running around that building to get into the game. So if you confirm the tournament you're going to is not doing layout 1 with search and destroy, maybe, but if they are, I would never bring one.
Yeah.
Yep. As a guy who used to run 3 Land Raiders for 4 or 5 months, and I completely understand.
Yeah. Quite good. Quite good.
Yeah. But yeah, for 285 points, if you are running layouts where it's useful, running Logan and them out of one of them or something could be funny, but I just think there's better stuff to spend the points on in the Wolf Codex right now.
Totally.
Yep.
All right, cool.
So, I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys. I haven't played into it yet. Have you guys played the Black Templars yet?
I have not.
Yes.
So are there? What's kind of? And I'm asking future, looking for the future, right? We got Imperial Knights coming out. I know Templars just came out. Is there a book that you guys think is going to be a challenge for Wolves coming out?
Oh man, Black Templars are going to be very difficult. They have the melee damage the wazoo. They lost Oath, but somehow all of their units reroll hits. Like it's just is like a little crazy. I'm just thinking about a list that I saw of like 4-man sword brethren with 2 characters each, and you have like, gosh, how many attacks? It's like 25 attacks that are
Yep.
lethal 5s, 4 rolls to hit, and you get +1 wound automatically. Like that's just stock standard. You don't even need to get any strats or anything. So you think about those units like, I don't know, I think maybe that unit's like 200-ish points. Just wipes out any 6-man Thunderwolves gone. You know, like Logan and Terminators probably chunked to a point where they're not useful anymore. Their damage output is crazy. Their durability is pretty poor. But again, I found with Wolves, we struggle into high output of damage to melee. Like EC, World Eaters, Blood Angels. That's been the bane of my existence. So I think Templars are going to put a really big challenge to Wolves.
Yeah, they're definitely spamming Sword Brethren with Castellan Marshal. That seems to be the thing they're going with. But like, if they had one at the tournament I was at last weekend before Nova, I didn't play into it, but it lost to Vanguard Nid's top table. But it was crushing everything else.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
and
I still think. Go ahead, Ed.
no, I didn't know if you guys had looked at like Votan. I know they're coming out too. I know they changed a lot. Didn't know if that's going to affect y'all's list or anything. I know like Steeljacks are going to change it a little bit, but
Yeah, I have to look into Votan a little more. So I knew they weren't viable for Nova, so I really didn't look into them yet. But I think they are going to be legal at the GT I'm going to in 2 weeks in Orlando. So definitely something I'm going to have to figure out.
Yeah, we'll just have to feel it out. I mean, yeah, Wolves are in a good spot. They still have really strong data sheets. I do wonder about the data slate coming out this week. Hopefully this month.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about they think it might be this week. A lot of times they do it on Thursdays, so we'll see. Because if it comes out then, it may or may not be legal for the GT I'm going to. So
sure, yeah,
that's something I'm waiting on. Because like they had that one rumor we were going to get a soft nerf, but I don't know why we would. But
yeah, it's really odd. I mean, we're sitting at like 51% win rate. We've won 1 GT. I don't know. Maybe this past weekend there was another one, but I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. So we'll see. But yeah, like Knights, I'm not worried about their book. Good into Knights, good into Chaos Knights. So I don't think Knights are going to change enough where that's going to all of a sudden just change that matchup completely. Black Templars, I think it's going to be like Blood Angels and World Eaters. It's a tough match, but if I'm running where I can do the fight on death and the interrupt, I don't know if they're survivable enough, because a lot of times when they hit that hard, they also die fairly easily, unless for that 1 minute where Death Guard were just unkillable and lethal sustained on fucking Death Shrouds. But
yeah, that crazy.
So hopefully, you can play around their combat a little bit, and then I have no clue about Votan. But normally we can play fairly well into shooty armies if we can get in and start tying stuff up if they don't have a lot of fallback or shoot into combat.
Yeah, Stormlance can be very strong. Wolves in general can be very strong into shooting.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, congrats both of you making second and first bracket or second bracket. That's awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and if Jeff wasn't cheating against Wolves, Ed would have won the bracket.
Let me tell you, he's got a curse on Wolves. I played him at a GT a couple months ago, and he tabled me on like turn 3. It was bad.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Wolf players coming for interviews, but after that, if he's still running through Wolves, may have to get him on and tell us what the hell he's doing.
How do we beat you? What's your Jesus Christ?
But no, I'm just glad that Ed came on and told us that Space Wolves are better than Dark Angels. That's all I needed to hear.
Unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah.
But of course, we're better than most Chaos armies. So
that's right.
The slander! Wow.
No, I'm just mad because they have their Primarch and we don't yet.
We'll see 11th edition. Maybe the new release of Wolves is heralding something.
Yeah, because I can't complain about our new models at all.
Because I realize we're still missing half our range. We don't have Wolf Lords. We don't have new Thunderwolf Cab. We don't have Dreadnoughts. So maybe we'll see what happens in 11th.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to shout out to Josh Kinder did win Best Painted Space Wolves.
Oh, nice.
At Nova. So if y'all haven't seen those, they're gorgeous.
All right, I'm going to have to look those up. I saw some cool looking Logans and like a custom battle leader guy up in the painting showcase upstairs. I got some pictures of those in our Discord I sent to the guys, but yeah, the new models definitely, if you are a good painter, which I'm not, they definitely can be good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you guys want to add or touch on, or any last questions out of chat?
Man, I really want to get to a tournament again. I played one last month, and I'm just itching to play. I've
Yeah.
got the GT coming up in October, so I'll be ramping up for that. But maybe a few RTTs between here and then.
Yeah, it's a shame they haven't run any big events in Virginia near you lately.
I know, it's crazy. Oh man, next
I
year
know.
I did promise to make it to Nova because I'm on the beach trip every year. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks, guys, for having me on. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming. We're always looking for more input on Wolves, and especially you. Like, we only play Wolves, so you coming from an outside look at Wolves, like, that definitely is super helpful to everybody that watches and in the chat. Like, we're always trying to find new tech for Wolves.
Yeah, we're really happy you came on, Ed. And once again, dude, you did so well. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, Aiden and I will be here pretty much every Tuesday live at 6 o'clock. We got some more interviews and stuff coming out. I've already started doing the breakdowns of my games of each round. So some of those are up in the members area. They'll be slowly releasing through the week, but
Yeah, I think actually, if we want, we can announce because it's been scheduled. Friday, we've got Paweł Kruker from Team Poland coming on to interview us about his WTC list and his take on Wolves. He's running Saga of the Beastlayer. We have a Saga player now.
yeah.
And then we're also looking to schedule Jesper from Team Sweden. So some pretty cool interviews.
Oh, we got a super chat here. Should I max out Logan? And I believe that's Arjack with Terminators. I've thought about it. But 340-point units, I think it takes a little away from some other stuff. I'm liking the 10 and the 5 for me personally. I think that's the spot to be in, just for how I'm
Yeah.
enjoying playing Wolves. But if you
Yeah.
like, although I did build a first company list with 20 Terminators.
Terminators are good, man. They have a couple
Yeah.
key weaknesses, but they are so
Yeah.
solid all
Well,
around.
this was a list. What would be fun to play? I don't think it's like great, but it's Ragnar and 6 Blade Guard, or 6 Head Takers and an Impulsor. Logan and Arjack both with 10. A Judicar and a Chaplain both with 6 Blade Guard and Impulsors. Because all the Blade Guard and the Terminators can sticky. The Terminators can up and down in that detachment. You can -1 damage units in that. I don't think that's as good as we're running with Gladius, but I think
Right.
that might be something I take to a local event because that'd just be really fun for me. Like, I like that kind of play. I don't think it's has the potential of the Gladius list, but that'd be a lot of fun to put on the table.
Yeah, I could see that.
That would I would love that as a first company brethren.
Yes. Yeah, I played around with them like last year a little bit, and they were doing all right. Actually, when I was still in Virginia, I took to your hobby place once, and it did fairly well. But
That's awesome. Terminators are awesome, man. They're so cool.
oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime, especially ours now, anytime you can take a detachment that buffs them. Like, I've even been playing around with going back to Fenris, doing the 2 OC Terminators again.
2 OC Terminator's hard to move, man. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Aiden. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Almost Functional Gaming. We appreciate the support of all followers of Russ and the Allfather. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out our merch store and Almost Functional Score Tracker on Amazon. Everything helps support the growth of this channel, and we appreciate it.
All right. Oh, we lost Ed.
That's okay.